don't know whether you saw or heard the Tom Cruise rant, but
Yeah.
I mean, God, talk about laying it on with a trowel. He really seemed to go a bit COVID crazy, although it was very worthy, you know, following the rules and all of that. Are we all getting a little bit antsy and a little bit about it all?
I think so. I mean, definitely. I know I've had my moments, if I could admit to that. It's a little embarrassing to admit, but you know, I think that definitely. Oh, when I listened to Tom Cruise today, I was like, I can identify with him a little bit, you know. But I almost felt like I was watching a movie about making the movie of Mission Impossible. Like, it's actually a Mission Impossible to make this Mission Impossible movie. So, but you know, Tom Cruise, he's intense, he's talented, and I would really like to see the making of Mission Impossible, because it really is, and during this time of COVID, almost impossible to do a lot of things, to work.
It is a Mission Impossible, isn't it?
Yes, definitely.
So Mission Impossible has become a Mission Impossible.
Exactly.
Do you think that also we're becoming intolerant of others as a result of COVID? Do you think that because our psychology is now in sort of self-protective mode, that maybe we are on a bit more of a short fuse? Because, you know, what Tom Cruise actually witnessed, as annoying as it was two people who just weren't socially distancing. Yet, when you hear his rant, you'd think one of them had stolen a kidney. And I just can't help but think that maybe we've lost our proportionality over things a bit.
We've lost our minds a little bit.
Last night, I was completely paranoid, for instance, and I was convinced by going home for Christmas, I was going to end up killing my parents, which isn't rational. No. But because today, I'm like, what was I thinking? Why was I so worried? Right. If I'm careful, but I feel like a lot of us are sort of not thinking in a proportionate way, and we've all had a wobble now and then like that.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, when we become angry, what does it really mean? It means that some rule or standard that we have for ourselves has been violated. So when we feel our boundaries have been violated physically, emotionally, or whatever in our relationships, we can react in anger. And so definitely on set, you know, from what I heard from those audios, Tom Cruise is trying to make a movie happen. And he said that a lot of people could be affected if this movie doesn't happen. He was talking about the economy and people losing their, you know, financial stability and the difficulty in Hollywood that this COVID crisis has taken. So he's really trying to make this mission of making the movie Mission Impossible possible, right? Ironically enough.
So Mission Possible, then, hopefully.
Exactly. Exactly, but...
So another example of Mission Possible, and another example of perhaps COVID crazy, and I don't know whether during these times someone would have made, unless it was for these times, someone would have made this decision, but it's the man that obviously wasn't able, I don't know if you saw the story, but it was the man who wasn't able to get to the Isle of Man, so made the decision, wasn't allowed to anyway because of the COVID rules, so made the decision, and again I don't know whether this would be in the realms of complete sanity, to cross the Irish Sea on a jet ski, which took 5 hours. Again, is that just an example of us, perhaps COVID making us lose our rationality a little bit?
Perhaps, but I will say this. I once had a professor who said to me, it doesn't matter how you get there, just that you get there. And I think that with that little story that you shared, this is a person who had a goal, and he's willing to make changes and do what he needs to do to get where he needs to go, and he's not going to let COVID stop him. So I think that's...
I'd like to see him in the next Mission Impossible, frankly. I think that would be... He'd be perfect. Why do you think, Dr. Palmer, because one thing we can all identify with, I think, COVID or not, is being slightly insane over love. And I used to hate it, actually. When I used to meet someone that I really liked, really liked, I got to a point where I didn't like it because I would act so insane around that person. Because, and it's true, I think everyone has got that sort of ability sometimes to go a little bit psycho when they are really into someone. why would someone, a rational person, make a decision to get on a jet ski for 5 hours? Or, I don't know, totally rational people who decide to then stalk people they're seeing on Facebook or follow them or whatever else. Sometimes love turns rational people into maniacs, right?
And it happens for different reasons. Like, I think that in a relationship, love is a very high vibration. It's a high vibrational healing. So it's literally, love is healing. But at the same time, you're right, where we can be so afraid of it. And a lot of times people have difficulty loving themselves, so they have a hard time accepting love from another person, right? So it's not just giving the love, but it's receiving the love. And when you're giving the love, knowing that how secure do you feel that person's going to be able to accept all the love that you also have to give to them. So a lot of people have attachment issues that come up, and a lot of people may have insecure kind of attachment issues that come from their childhood and all that. So when we're talking about relationships and love, it's almost like a different topic than when we're talking about a guy getting on a jet ski and making his dreams happen and having passion.
Well, yeah, but you say that, but it also could be, I see it as amazing, how romantic, lovely. But on the other hand, it could be, oh my God, if I don't go and see this person, maybe they're not going to be into me anymore. Oh my God, the only rational thing to do is get on a jet ski. So, do you see what I mean? It might not all come from this lovely place of trying to achieve the love. It might come from a slightly crazy place.
Yeah, so I can see what you're saying, that love can sometimes make us do crazy things and call people when we don't know we shouldn't call them, or whatever it is.
Or the accidental text.
The end of the world for somebody, right?
The number of times I said the insane accidental text, just someone you want to talk to. And so, there could be Pete or something, and I'll say, oh, hi, Paul, how are things going? Because you want to speak to Pete. Sure. Or those sorts of things, which in a rational world, you...
Right, because you're thinking with it's your emotions,
exactly.
And our emotions can control us for sure. Definitely that can happen. And we have to learn, how to balance the heart and the mind. And it's all about balancing that and reality checking and stepping back and saying, is this the right thing to do? And sometimes you have to take a breather and maybe come back to it. Give yourself a little break and come back to it. And maybe consult with a couple of people, to see what they think about it, and then make your own decision.
Well, I have had in my life a lot of therapy, thankfully, and I've really learned a lot about, which I think other people probably have as well, about thinking with your rational brain instead of your emotional brain. And I wonder, is that sort of part of what you're getting at?
In my therapy, or what
just with what you're talking about now, about the fact that, being ruled by your heart or your emotional head sometimes, all sort of rhyme and reason can go out the window, and it's sort of I don't know whether you've got different terminology to sort of talk about this, but it's sort of sometimes you have to have a word with yourself to be rational, because otherwise, if you're completely taken away by your emotion, sometimes you can make really silly decisions or have silly reactions or all those sorts of things.
Right, especially if those emotions are negative emotions, and you can be self-sabotaging and so on and so forth. But one of the mantras that I try to tell myself personally is balancing, a warm heart with a strong mind. And you can define for that what that means for you, right? So warm heart and strong mind, and balancing those two. And recognizing when you're going a bit off kilter and what balance looks like for you. Balance is my mantra. And I think that a lot of people now are seeking balance in their life, because things have become so out of balance. So whether it's in your loving relationships, in your career, in your health, your personal life, whatever it may be, I think balance should be a mantra for a lot of people. And that's one of the reasons why I'm developing this RenewMe brand, is to help bring more balance to people everywhere.
So what is that? Tell me about it.
RenewMe is a digital brand. It's in the space of Calm and Headspace, which are both exceptional apps that are in the realm of mindfulness. But RenewMe is about balance, and it's not, mindfulness is just a part of balance, living a balanced life. But balance is about coping skills. It's about setting goals. It's about being able to relax. It's about, skillful thinking and skillful living. and resources for help and all of that. It's kind of an all-encompassing and being able to check in with self so that you can make stronger, wiser decisions for yourself and your life and your relationships. So a lot of it has, there's a lot of audio tracks and a lot of resources for people. And I hope to bring this to corporations and hospitality brands for their employees and their customers. So basically we can all make the world a better place.
I mean, a lot of people talk about mindfulness. If you are someone who is maybe hot-headed in love, ruled by the heart over the head, and all those sorts of things, what is mindfulness, and in what way would that perhaps give you a more reasoned outlook?
I'm sorry, I kind of lost a little audio there.
Oh, okay, I was just saying that if you are someone who wants to sort of stop being hot-headed around your heart, you want to stop sort of, being ruled by that emotion, what is mindfulness, and how would that make someone practicing that perhaps make them a little bit more level-headed when it comes to these situations?
Right. So, there's a couple of different ways about going about this. And in therapy, what I work with is healing the emotions that were maybe coming from triggering events in the past and how those emotions are being reflected today in events and relationships that may be triggering you. So when we start to lift that negativity and change the way you're responding in the subconscious, all kinds of wonderful things can manifest and happen in your day-to-day life. And that's really with deep therapy modalities, right? We can do that. But for a lot of people who cannot get therapy, I go back to skillful living and skillful thinking. And one of the things is being aware, first of all, of yourself and your life, your external and your internal. Being aware of, what your needs are and what your values are and what it is that you need at this moment, right? And then also being able to align your dreams and aspirations with your daily habits and routines and learning the skills to do that. So these are big aspects of, maintaining a balanced life, constantly checking in with yourself to see what kinds of core belief systems are working. Do you have more negative core belief systems working, or do you have more positive core belief systems working? And that might be, if you don't feel worthy enough, good enough, who in your life is contributing to that? What are some of the things that you're doing or things that maybe happened in your past that are creating those thoughts? And how can you start to align yourself with the belief that you are good enough, you are worthy, and you don't have to. It's like, where does change take place? Do things have to change on the outside first for you to change on the inside? Or can you begin to change things on the inside just by recognizing the times that you are good enough, the small, sparkling moments where things are going well? And a lot of times we take those small moments for granted.
I think a part of it as well is there's a real, the expression that really resonates with me is on this is that youth is wasted on the young, because there's so much that comes from getting older as well, and worrying. When I think about the things I used to worry about in my 20s and get really obsessed with, and when you're older, what is brilliant about getting older is you've got the security to say, ye gods, that was just such a waste of time and energy. And I think sometimes that can really help. It's been really good to talk to you, Dr. Lisa Palmer. Thank you so much for giving us your insights in what makes us all a little bit crazy over COVID and over love as well. Thank you very much indeed for the time